The phrase Dark Ages has long conjured images of ignorance, decay, and decline. We imagine 1,000 years of backwardness, when Europe stumbled in shadows between the fall of Rome and the dawn of the Renaissance. But what if this vision is more myth than fact? What if the Middle Ages were not so dark after all, but instead an era of resilience, creativity, and transformation? In this exploration, we'll journey through the medieval world, its politics, culture, faith, and daily life, to uncover how people not only survived, but thrived. Far from being a wasteland of progress, the so-called Dark Ages laid the foundation for the modern world. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in the 5th century, much of its infrastructure crumbled. Roads went unkept, trade shrank, and cities emptied. To later historians, this looked like the world falling apart. Yet collapse was only one side of the story. For many, life simply shifted. Villages grew where cities declined, and local lords replaced distant emperors. Instead of chaos without order, new forms of stability emerged. The feudal system bound peasants, knights, and nobles together in webs of loyalty. While fragile at times, these bonds created security in a fractured world. People adapted, creating new traditions that would define Europe for centuries. Religion was at the very heart of medieval life. Christianity not only shaped belief but also bound communities together across vast distances. The Church preserved knowledge through monasteries where monks copied texts by hand, keeping the wisdom of Greece and Rome alive. Faith also inspired some of the most breathtaking works of the era. Cathedrals rose like stone prayers, filled with light from stained glass that told biblical stories to illiterate masses. Pilgrimages brought people from far-off lands together, carrying not only devotion but also ideas, art, and trade. Though dismissed for centuries as primitive, medieval art was rich with symbolism and beauty. Illuminated manuscripts turned words into visual jewels with golden letters dancing across pages. Music, from Gregorian chant to early polyphony, echoed through churches, creating soundscapes of devotion and wonder. Literature, too, blossomed. Epic tales like Beowulf and the Song of Roland celebrated heroes and values of their age. Courtly romances wove stories of knights and love, shaping ideals of honor that still echo today. Medieval culture was not silence but song, not blankness but a tapestry of voices. While literacy rates were limited, knowledge never disappeared. Monasteries guarded ancient texts, and Islamic scholars translated works of Aristotle, Galen, and Ptolemy, passing them back into Europe. This exchange fueled a revival of learning. By the 12th century, universities were born in Paris, Bologna, and Oxford, where students debated philosophy, law, and theology. These institutions were the ancestors of our modern universities. The very concept of structured education, degrees, and disciplines took root here. Learning was not extinguished in the so-called Dark Ages. It was reborn. Far from being stagnant, the Middle Ages witnessed steady progress in science and technology. Much of this innovation was practical, born out of the needs of daily life. From new farming tools to improved construction methods, medieval ingenuity helped communities thrive in a challenging world. Agriculture saw some of the most important changes. The heavy plow allowed Europeans to cultivate northern soils, while the three-field system increased yields. Water mills and windmills multiplied, harnessing nature to grind grain, press oil, and saw timber. Medicine, though still tied to spiritual beliefs, made notable advances. Physicians studied both classical and Islamic texts, experimenting with herbal remedies and surgical techniques. These efforts laid the groundwork for future medical progress. Astronomy and timekeeping also flourished. Monks charted the heavens to calculate holy days, while scholars refined instruments like the astrolabe and mechanical clocks. These achievements connected cosmic rhythms with the rhythms of human life. The Middle Ages were never the dark void of imagination. They were a time of transition, 1,000 years where faith and reason, tradition and innovation, hardship and creativity coexisted. Rather than decay, this period nurtured the roots of the modern world. When we look closely, we see medieval people not stumbling in darkness, but striving toward light. Their manuscripts preserved wisdom, their cathedrals embodied ambition, their universities debated timeless questions, and their technologies transformed society. Without them, the Renaissance could not have risen. Perhaps the greatest mistake of history has been to dismiss these centuries as a gap between brighter eras. In truth, The Middle Ages were not an interruption but a bridge, carrying forward the legacies of the past while paving the way for the future. The so-called Dark Ages were, in their own way, full of light.